Before I tell you this story, I want you to ask yourself one question. How well do you really know the people living inside your home? Because Captain Hadiza Lantana Oboh thought she knew hers. She paid their salaries, she fed them. She even gave one of them a second chance after firing him. And on the night of February 8, 1998, while she stood in her own kitchen cooking her own meal, they murdered her, cemented her body into her septic tank, and moved into her bedroom like nothing happened. This is the full story, and it is one of the most chilling betrayals in Nigerian history. Captain Hadiza Lantana Oboh was not just any woman. She was Nigeria's first and only female pilot at Nigeria Airways, a pioneering, trailblazing, history-making woman who had broken into one of the most male-dominated professions on the planet. She was 39 years old, single, successful. She lived in a beautiful duplex on Bodilon Road in Ikoyi, Lagos, one of the most prestigious addresses in the country. She wore gold chains and jewel-studded bracelets. She traveled with foreign currency. She had designer clothes, expensive electronics, and a Santana car parked in her compound. By every standard, Hadiza had made it. She had earned everything she owned through sheer hard work, discipline, and courage. She had literally conquered the skies. But back on the ground, 3 men were watching her very closely and counting her blessings for themselves. Her domestic staff consisted of 3 men: Abdullahi, her security guard, Itoro Akpan, her driver, and Peter Eche, her gardener and auto electrician. Now, Abdullahi had actually been fired at some point for misconduct, but when another staff member had to travel briefly, Hadiza, being the kind, trusting woman she was, gave him a second chance and rehired him temporarily. That second chance signed her death warrant. When Peter Eche returned and resumed work, Abdullahi pulled him aside. The conversation that followed was brief, cold, and deadly. He told Peter that Hadiza should be killed because, in his words, she gets plenty money and property. And Peter Eche looked at this man, thought about it, and said yes. Not only did he agree, he went further. He became the organizer. He recruited the other accomplices. He coordinated the timing. They used Abdullahi's petty trading spot just outside the compound gates as their planning base, sitting right outside the home of the woman they were about to murder, plotting her death in broad daylight. February 8, 1998, a Sunday evening. Captain Hadiza pulled into her compound around 8 p.m., visibly exhausted after a long day. Abdullahi, the man she had given a second chance, smiled and opened the gate for her. She parked her Santana car, walked into her duplex, dropped her flight bag, and went to rest briefly. Then she did what any hard-working woman coming home after a long day would do. She went to her kitchen to cook herself a meal. She never finished that meal. The moment the conspirators confirmed she was inside and settled, Abdullahi flung the compound gates wide open. The others slipped in through the rear kitchen door. As Hadiza stood at that cooker, tired, hungry, completely unsuspecting, Abdullahi came up behind her. He had a rope in his hands. He wrapped it around her neck and strangled her. Then, to make absolutely certain she was dead, he slit her throat. Nigeria's first female pilot, the woman who had broken barriers in the skies that no Nigerian woman before her ever had, was murdered in her own kitchen, in her own home, by her own staff. She was 39 years old.
Now here is where the story goes from tragic to absolutely horrifying. After killing her, the men carried her body across the compound and dumped it into the septic tank. Then they went and bought bags of cement and sealed the tank shut. They entombed her beneath her own home. With the body hidden, They looted everything: the foreign currency, the gold chains, the jewel-studded bracelets, the designer clothes, the electronics. They divided it all among themselves. And then, brace yourself for this, they moved out of the servants' quarters and into her apartment. They slept in her home, ate in her kitchen, used her things, lived her life. Whenever anyone came to the gate asking for Hadiza, they had one rehearsed answer: Madame has traveled. And because this was 1998, before WhatsApp, before mobile phones were common in Nigeria, nobody could call her to confirm. The lie worked. For weeks, the world believed Captain Hadiza Lantana Oboh had simply traveled, while her body decomposed in cement beneath their feet. It was a police officer living in a neighboring property who first noticed something was wrong. Suspicious movements in and out of the compound, too many unfamiliar faces, and energy that didn't sit right. He reported it. Police arrived and searched the premises. They found her decomposed, cemented inside the septic tank of her own home. Inside the kitchen, the pot of soup she had been cooking the night she died was still sitting on the cooker, completely dried out. And on the kitchen floor, stains of her blood remained exactly where she had fallen. Peter Ejer was the first to be arrested, caught trying to sell her belongings. He told police she had traveled overseas. They almost believed him, but the truth was too horrifying to stay buried forever, literally. Abdullahi was tracked down after going on the run. The driver, Itora Akpan, and a man named Dennis Osama, who had received stolen property, were also arrested. All four were charged with conspiracy, armed robbery, and murder. And now, the part of this story that should make every single one of us angry. While the trial was ongoing, a high court granted bail to two of the suspects. The guarantors they presented submitted false names and fake addresses. The suspects walked out of that courtroom and were never seen again. Efforts to rearrest them failed. The case collapsed. It has now been over 26 years since Captain Hadiza Lantana Oboh was strangled in her kitchen, sealed in a septic tank, and robbed of everything she had worked her entire life to build. Not one person has spent a single day in prison for her mother. Not one. She broke every barrier the sky ever put in front of her. She flew planes when Nigerian women weren't supposed to. She built a life that was entirely her own, earned through discipline, sacrifice, and sheer brilliance. And she was brought down not by the challenges of the sky, but by the greed of three men she trusted enough to let through her front gate. Captain Hadiza Lantana Oboh deserved better. She deserved justice. She deserved to grow old and retire and be celebrated. Instead, she became a name most Nigerians have never even heard of. That changes today. Now I need you to sit with this for a second. This woman gave one of her killers a second chance out of the goodness of her heart, and that is literally what got her killed. And when the justice system finally had all four suspects in custody, it still managed to let them walk free. So let me ask you this: who failed Hadiza more, her domestic staff or the Nigerian justice system? Drop your answer in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you think. If this story moved you, if you think Hadiza's name deserves to be remembered, share this video right now, not tomorrow, right now, because the only justice we can still give her is making sure the world never forgets who she was and what was done to her. And if you are new here, subscribe and turn on notifications, because we tell the stories that history tried to bury every single week. Captain Hadiza Lantana Oboh, Nigeria's first female pilot, gone at 39, never forgotten.